Hi everyone, it's Monica, and welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. Well, it's time again for the Coffee Lovers Blog Hop. And if you're not familiar with this event, it is an event that lasts a week long where we make coffee cards, link them up, and people hop through the blogs and make comments. And you also have a chance to win. There are several super sponsors that offer up prizes, and I'm one of the super sponsors this year. And I'll be offering up a prize for my shop along with a flash prize, which will be one of my digital sets. But today I'm going to make a card for you that's probably not my typical type of card, so you might be a little bit surprised. Ordinarily, you see me make the grungy cards because that really is my style. But believe it or not, I do like cutesy stamps once in a while. And this stamp set from Pink and Maine kind of fits that criteria. Now, the reason that I was attracted to this stamp set is because I live in an old town in Prescott, and the downtown Main Street reminds me of this stamp set. So what I thought I would do is go ahead and create my own little Main Street with its own little coffee shop with this cute little stamp set. Now, there's probably a couple of ways I could have attacked this card, but of course I decided to take the most difficult route and stamp these and color them up and fussy cut them. Yes, I did say fussy cut them. Now, I didn't want to bore you through my coloring, so I went ahead and did that off screen, and then I cut all these out. But this is what I'm talking about. Look at how small these pieces are. And not only do they have the little buildings, but they have little street embellishments to go along with your main street. So it definitely was a little bit painful, fussy cutting all these items, but I think in the long run it's going to be worth it. Now, the card base that I'm using measures 8 1/4 by 4 inches. And I made it long enough so I could fit my entire main street on my card. I'm probably going to have to create my own envelope for this, but like I said, I really wanted to create my own little main street. So I started out by getting some distress ink, and the color that I'm using is Broken China. And I'm using my brushes from Picket Fence. And these are the life-changing brushes that people have done lots of videos on. Now, I don't have the knockoff brushes, but there's been some comparison. And I bought the ones from Picket Fence because I really like to support some of these small shops. But I really like the brush. I have to say that because it enables me to put a really light touch using my inks. And I'm able to create a nice subtle background like I'm doing here. The brush is really nice to hold as well. I can easily hold it and put my forefinger right on the edge, and that will enable me to control how much pressure I'm putting on my cardstock and control the amount of ink that's actually going on. So I continued with my brush until I had full coverage, and like I said, I was trying to create a sky background, so I wasn't going for perfection because I wanted it to look like little pieces of white clouds coming through the blue, and that's why you see some spotty coverage. And then another thing I like about the brushes is once I'm finished using the brush with one particular color, I can easily get one of my rags and just wipe the brush clean without having a lot of fuss. You could probably wash these as well. I've seen people wash them, but I really don't find it necessary. I just get a dry rag and I just rub it until I get all of my ink off of it. Okay, so once I was happy with my background, it was time to start putting together my little main street. Now, I didn't want my little buildings to be right at the edge of my card. I wanted it to look like there was a sidewalk. So I got out one of my gel pens and I basically am going to draw my sidewalk. So I started out with a ruler because I wanted to at least start out with a straight line. And then once I had my straight line, I did two of them. I did the top line and then I did a middle line. And then from there, I just alternated my vertical lines. It kind of looks like a brick wall. That's the way that I did my sidewalk. So if you've seen a brick wall, you've seen that the lines kind of go in between each brick. And that's the pattern that I made for my sidewalk. All right, so once I was finished with my sidewalk, it was time to place my buildings on my card. And I also had all of those little pieces that I need to place as well. So I wanted to make sure that if I wanted to do them in between the buildings, I left enough spaces. So because these pieces were so small, I went ahead and laid out my main street before I actually started gluing everything down. So I had an idea of where my pieces would be going. Now, originally I thought I was going to pop up my buildings with some foam tape, but then I decided to actually just glue my buildings straight onto my cardstock and pop up some of the smaller pieces. And to make life a little bit more difficult for myself, I decided to stamp out those canopies again that are on the buildings and pop those up. I really wanted to have a 3D effect, and I thought the canopies would be a really nice effect. All right, so once I knew my layout, I went ahead and started adding my foam tape to the pieces that were going to pop up. So I started out with the canopies and I attached those directly to my buildings. And then I took the tiny open sign and I attached that to my pet store. Yes, the stamp set has an open and a closed sign, and it is tiny, but it is so cute. I definitely had to use it. And then once I had my pieces on the actual buildings, I went ahead and took out my glue stick that I got from Tonic Studios, and I started attaching my buildings directly onto my cardstock. So once I had my buildings all glued down, it was time to add the little street embellishments. And this, of course, is the little lamppost. There's a little wooden bench. There's a mailbox. There's also this little canopy with this table and chairs. And it is so cute. It just really makes the street. So I went ahead and decided that I was going to pop these up. So I had to get out my foam tape and cut little pieces of foam tape to be able to pop these up. But in the end, I think it was worth it. Even though this card did take me a bit of time between the coloring, the fussy cutting, and then the placement of all of my little pieces, it really probably was one of the most funnest cards that I've put together in a long time. Ordinarily, I just kind of get out paint and stamps and I just start stamping, but this was really a scene that I was putting together, and I really enjoyed putting together the scene. It was just time for me to sit back and enjoy card making just for the sake of card making. I wasn't having to rush through anything. I just kind of enjoyed putting together my little town, and it really gave me a lot of joy. And while all the buildings are really, really cute, of course, my favorite building is the little coffee shop. And I just love that little canopy with the 2 chairs and table right in front of the store where you can just grab a cup of coffee, relax, and chit-chat with a friend. So, of course, this card was for the Coffee Lovers Blog Hop, so I definitely had to use one of the coffee sentiments that came in the stamp set. And the sentiment that I chose to stamp onto my card said "Meet for Coffee" with a question mark. So this is going to be a cute little card that I can send to a friend or just keep for my own collection, because I'm really thrilled with the way that it came out. So after I had the sentiment stamped, I thought I was going to be done, but when I actually opened up the card, I realized that some of the blue ink actually transferred onto the back of the card as well as the inside. So then I decided to go ahead and trim down the front piece of the card and actually mat it onto another piece of white cardstock. So this was just a matter of getting out my guillotine trimmer and trimming it down and then matting it onto some white cardstock. And because I actually trimmed it down, it gave me an opportunity to add some of my walnut stain to the edging. So while this is still a cutesy card, I was still able to add some of my distressed grunge on the outside of my card. So as I said, this isn't my typical type of card, but I hope that you've enjoyed my process of putting it together. I am just thrilled the way that it turned out, and it is a really fun, cute card. It did take me a while to create. So I appreciate you sticking through the video and watching me through my process. So as always, I'll leave a list of all the products that I've used to create this card along with the links to the stores. If you've enjoyed the video, I would sure appreciate a thumbs up. And I will leave a link to the Coffee Lovers Blog Hop if you are interested in participating in the hop. It's a week-long event, and while you participate, you have a chance to win lots of fun prizes. And during the week of the hop, I will be offering 20% off everything in my shop. So be sure to check that out in the link that I leave below. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head out. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.